Hey guys, so about a few weeks or a month-ish ago, I uploaded a stats video and I got a few requests from you guys asking to do a video on how I got a 32 on my ACT, as well as a 35 and 36 on my English and reading sections. So I figured that I would make a more in-depth video on how I figured out whether I should take the SAT or ACT, which test was better for me personally, how I prepared, and where I found free resources. The first thing that you should consider is, should I take the SAT or the ACT? My guidance counselor gave me advice to basically focus on one test and study really hard for that and get an amazing score, rather than taking two different tests, doing average on both. So here's some key differences on how to kind of determine which test is better for you personally. One of the determining factors for me was the structure of the test. Both tests have 4 sections, or 5 if you take the optional essay. The SAT tests reading, writing and language, math with calculator, and math with no calculator. The ACT tests English, math with calculator, reading, and then science reasoning. For me, this was a really big factor in my decision because the SAT is half math, and math is definitely not my strong suit, and that's comparing it to the ACT, which is only a quarter math, so therefore a quarter of your score versus half of your score. The obvious choice for me was to take the ACT. I would rather my score be made up of mostly things I'm good at, like reading comprehension. And the science section, while it may seem like intimidating at first, I know I definitely was a little bit cautious about that. Science is essentially reading comprehension part 2, because they basically give you some like graphs and there's like a little blurb about some experiment or whatever, and then you basically just answer questions and analyze it like you would do any other passage. If you are more of a STEM kind of person, or if you are good at both humanities and math, SAT may be great for you. The length is another thing that you may want to consider. The ACT is a little bit more of a crunch for time. You get way less time per question, and also on the essay. So the SAT is 3 hours without the essay and 3 hours 50 minutes with essay. The writing and language section is 44 questions and 35 minutes. Reading is 52 questions and 65 minutes. Math no calculator is 20 questions in 25 minutes, and math with calculator is 38 questions in 55 minutes, and the essay is 50 minutes. So you definitely have a ton of time per question. And then on the ACT, it's a little bit of a different story. You have 2 hours 55 minutes without essay and 3 hours 35 minutes with essay. The English section is 75 questions in 45 minutes. Math is 60 questions in 60 minutes. Reading 40 questions in 35 minutes, and science 40 questions in 35 minutes, and the essay is 40 minutes. So you have less time per question, less time for your essay. The reading section on the SAT has 5 reading passages, while this reading section on the ACT has 4 reading passages. Math on the SAT is mostly algebra, problem solving, data analysis, and the ACT is algebra, functions, geometry, stats, and probability. I feel like each person is better at or prefers either algebra or geometry, and this was kind of something that tore me between the SAT and ACT. I'm personally better at algebra than I am at geometry, and I prefer it, but the ACT tested more on geometry than the SAT did, so that was a little bit of a hard decision for me to make. Another big thing for me was the essay type and format. The SAT essay tests comprehension of a source text, which essentially means it's an analysis essay. So you'll read a passage and then you will analyze it. The ACT tests how well you evaluate and analyze complex issues, which is basically an argument essay. You're asked a question about a contemporary issue and you argue your point of view. You use examples from your personal experience and research, and then cost is not a significant difference between the two. I think it's like a few dollars, but maybe that is a factor to consider for you. So the SAT costs $47.50 without the writing portion and $64.50 with writing. And then the ACT is $50.50 without writing and $67 with writing. I took a Kaplan SAT prep class, and I took this like my sophomore year. This was when I thought that I was going to take the SAT. In the class, if you're thinking about taking one, I'll give you kind of like a gist of what it is about. We would just practice a ton of different types of questions and like literally practice all day long, all week long, different types of questions. And then we would learn how to catch and ignore tricks or like unnecessary information that they would give you to kind of just get to the root of the problem. And then you got practice and prep books and lots of practice tests. I think that it definitely helped because my score improved steadily throughout the week. A few main things I took away that you may or may not know. For me, it was like something that was groundbreaking information because I never thought about it when I was taking a test before. One of the main things on the math section that was a struggle for me was that I would just go first question, second question. If I didn't know a question, I would skip it, but I would basically go just down the row of questions. Basically what I was taught to do instead was to go through all the really easy questions that I obviously knew how to do and that weren't word problems. So stuff that was just 12 times 12 or whatever. Stuff you can do really fast, can read really fast, just get those out of the way, and then go back and do the more complex word problem type things. And that saved me so much time because each question is weighted the exact same. So that really fast 2-second problem is weighted the exact same as a problem that takes you 5 minutes. So it's better to make sure you get all the easy ones done and get all those points, and then go back and do the harder ones that take you a little bit longer. And then for reading sections, I think this is mainly on the SAT. I don't think I ever came across a question like this on the ACT. But on the SAT, sometimes they'll give you 2 passages and then you'll compare them, what you want to do, instead of just reading both passages and then answering the questions like I was doing. You should read the first passage and then answer all the questions for passage 1, and then read the second passage, answer all the questions for passage 2, and then do the comparing, contrasting questions after the fact. That way you're not reading both passages and then you start answering the questions for passage 1 and then you get confused between the different passages, and that way you just read it, you know it because you just read it. I think it just works out a lot better. Everything is just fresh in your mind. The second time around, I used my score report to figure out what to focus on. So the score report, basically, it will give you types of questions that you were tested on, and then it'll tell you how many, what percentage of them you got right, so that you can kind of figure out what you really need to zone in on and focus on. It also gives you how many questions of those there are. So the ones with 5 questions that I got only 2 right of, I wouldn't focus on as much, but the one that I got 40 out of 50 on or whatever, I would focus on way more because there's so many more of those questions, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I would just kind of figure out where I went wrong, what I needed some help with, and I got a tutor, my cousin. She basically taught me how to do the stuff I wasn't so sure about, helped me figure out some more strategies. The book that I used for practice tests and practice problems, I don't quite remember the name because I don't have it, but I will put it right here and I will link it down below. Shout out to Michael Sakota because he let me borrow it for free. So find a friend or a family member or someone who will let you borrow ACT prep books for free, because there are so many people with ACT prep books that they don't need anymore, and they will probably gladly give it to you or sell it to you for dirt cheap. Okay, now for free resources, which are always a great thing because who wants to pay money for anything? Not me. I don't. So I am a cheapskate. I hate paying for anything on it. I hate paying. I can't even bear to spend $1 on a pack of gum. Never mind all this money for a prep book or anything. So I found a bunch of online free resources for you and I use personally, and there's one in particular that is awesome for the ACT, which I will get to. The first 2 resources are resources that help with both the SAT and the ACT. The first one is Kaplan, and this has practice tests, pop quizzes, questions of the day, 20-minute workout, different things that you can use to prep for both the SAT and ACT. And they also have a really awesome thing called the Turbo Test. And the Turbo Test is something that a lot of kids at my school used to figure out which test was best for them. And basically it's a 90-minute compressed version of the real test, and then it spits out your score, and you take both the one for the ACT and the SAT and you figure out which one you do better on. That's a great way to figure out which test is best for you if you still have no clue and you're torn between the 2. And then the second website is Princeton Review, and they provide practice tests and free trials for prep courses for both the ACT and SAT. They're a little bit more limited, but if you just need another practice test, check them out because they have a free one. If you are looking for more SAT specific free prep, you can go to Khan Academy, which is an awesome resource because they personalize your prep for you. So they'll personalize your practice questions, videos, lessons, full-length tests. College Board, obviously, they distribute the SAT, so that's a great source. They have practice tests, daily practice app for your phone. And now we are to my ACT free prep. This is the jackpot, honestly. Like, this was the best thing I have ever used for prepping. Obviously, the ACT website has a prep document with practice questions, but they also have this really cool thing called the ACT Academy, which I don't know, I feel like nobody ever talks about this, but maybe everyone knows about this. This is the most helpful thing ever. It's so helpful. I use this like the entire week leading up to my test, and it's just such a great way to refresh. They have every category, so they have math, English, reading, science, and then they give you a ton of quizzes all separated by category. Let's say for math you have 20 data analysis questions or whatever. They'll have an entire category just for data analysis questions, and then you'll take a quiz purely on that, and then it'll give you like a rating out of stars and then tell you how many questions you got right, which ones you got wrong. And then it doesn't just tell you that you got it wrong, and it doesn't just tell you the right answer. It gives you videos on how specifically to do that problem, how to do problems like that. That is what I personally used, and I personally love it. 10 out of 10 recommendation for you. I hope that was helpful. I wish you the best of luck in your testing endeavors and your college applications and everything. I know that that's going on right now, and you're probably a little bit stressed than I was, but no need to stress because you're going to do great, and you're going to get awesome scores, and you're going to get into some amazing colleges. So yeah, if you guys want more videos like this, I'm thinking about doing like an in-depth breakdown of my University of Michigan application, what I wrote my essays about, and how I did my activities and all that. If you want that, I would definitely be willing to make one. If you are interested in my stats, there will be a video linked up here somewhere, as well as in the down bar, so you guys can check that out. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, found it helpful, and subscribe. Also, all my social media links are in the about bar on my channel, so you should definitely check those out if you guys want to keep up with me when I go to college and everything, and see what it's like over at U of M. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Good luck on everything, and yeah, bye!